Welcome back to Chris Flies, and on today's episode I'm going to talk about how I nearly crashed my plane and what I did to save it, what I did to get myself into that stupid position in the first place, and more importantly, what I took away from the whole experience and how I've used that to plan my flights since. So a couple of weeks ago, I was out flying with a friend from White Waltham, and we decided to go and pick a couple of farm strips to fly to because I'd been practicing my farm strip landing and I wanted to, show off my new skill. And had a flight of Kittyhawk, nice weather, patchy cloud, but high, white, fluffy, quite strong winds. Now, Kittyhawk's got 2 runways, so we decided we'd go there, have a look as we join the overhead, see what the windsock's doing, pick a runway to land on, do a landing, chill out for a bit, and then get back in the plane and fly to the next farm strip. So the journey over was great. We chatted, great visibility, and got to Kittyhawk, joined the overhead, and the windsock was whipping around in a number of different directions. Looking down, it didn't really favour a single runway, but it was coming around and giving one runway more time than the other. But as I'm coming in, I'm crabbing really far over and I'm struggling to keep the plane on the centre line. The numbers are good on speed, and as I get closer and closer, I'm struggling to keep the plane where I want it to be. This is the point I should have gone around, but I didn't. I get hit by a huge wind shear that totally throws me. It almost stalled the plane. Full power gave me so much torque, and I was already pushing full right rudder that I couldn't bring the plane out of the left drift, heading straight into the trees, almost stalling, and the rest you'll see on the video. We chose runway 28 as probably the best runway for the wind direction, and I'd been on to Sky Demon and looked at the Sky Demon plate. It didn't show me a lot of information, but hey, let's go in there and see what happens. As we get towards the airfield, you can see the solar panels on your right and the buildings and trees also on the right, and the runway 28 goes between the buildings, trees and the solar panels. So there's quite a lot going on either side of the runway. But what I hadn't really considered was anything other than the wind direction going down the runway or giving a slight crosswind. I hadn't given any thought to turbulence, to wind shear. And whilst I've experienced wind shear in a couple of places, particularly at Waltham, it wasn't really in my mind at all. Had I gone onto the website and read in more detail rather than just looked at the plate online and the plate on Sky Demon, I would have scrolled down the page and seen a warning for wind shear on 28. And with that in mind, I would have looked at the wind on the ground, remembered there was wind shear on 28 and thought, I'm not doing this. But I hadn't taken enough of a briefing. I hadn't read all the information in enough detail to arm myself with everything I needed to know to get in safely. So what led to me making the decision to try and land at this airstrip? Well, a big chunk of it was complacency. I just thought I've been doing farm strips. I can land at reasonably long farm strips, and I don't need to really worry about too much on what's going on the ground. I hadn't considered the wind conditions, the chance of really buffeting, changing winds or wind shear, and I just thought I could do it. I was complacent, and I put myself, the aircraft, and my friend in a very dangerous position. I was also very reliant on my co-pilot making decisions for me throughout the flight. We're discussing where to go, what to do, what the weather situation will be. Even flying here now, we're looking at the weather on the ground, the wind, and working out which is the best runway to land on.
Oh, it's actually a full crosswind. No. What are we on coming on? Which one are we on? 28. 28. Oh shit. Yeah. Right. There you go. That's a complete fucking cock up, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wrong runway.
So.
Yeah.
No, that's fine.
No, I descended. I was descending dead side for 3-4.
Oh, okay.
I hadn't read the runway numbers.
Oh, right.
And even at this point, I haven't got the right runway picture in mind because I was looking at the wrong runway. An easy mistake to make on an unfamiliar airfield. But again, too much information going around in the cockpit. I should have just looked at the DI, looked at the direction of the runway I was coming to, and then I could see that it was the wrong runway. So too much reliance on my friend P2 telling me what to do, telling me what's going on, and not enough of my own situational awareness. This is a major issue and a major mistake. I will never rely on anyone in P2 telling me what to do again unless they're an instructor.
So we want 2-1, no power.
Yeah, you've got a little bit of a crosswind.
Yeah.
And here's the next warning sign. The wind is all over the place. We can't see which is the best runway to land on, and I'm going into an unfamiliar farm strip with high winds that are fluctuating all around. What am I thinking at this point? Actually, what I'm thinking is flying the circuit, keeping away from Deanland, looking out for the pylons, and just bringing this plane in on the numbers. So getting the speeds right, my descent right, and nailing the perfect short strip landing without taking in the peripheral information that's all around me. A big mistake.
I won't bother with the traffic call because I come left a bit. Bit of power and then straighten her up. Right, sinking a bit.
You're bang on the numbers.
Yeah, just sinking a bit. Oh, I really crabbed over.
This is the point that I should have gone around. I'm crabbed over and struggling to keep it online.
It's horrible, isn't it?
Yeah.
Why am I so crabbing?
It's the crosswind. Quite strong.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
Fuck.
just take a bit off.
I'm really struggling with the inputs in the plane now, and I should have gone around sooner. I'd made the decision to go around just as I get hit by a big wind shear. My speed drops down to 40, 45 knots. I've got full right rudder on, so I'm struggling to control the torque of full power, and the wind shear has pushed me into the trees. I dip my right wing, I push the nose down, I get the airspeed up, I stay away from the trees, and more by luck than skill, I managed to fly us out and continue on to our next destination. So there it is. I hope I don't come across as being overdramatic or making a mountain out of a molehill. I really wanted to share my experience at Kittyhawk because I put myself in a very dangerous position. I did it because I was overly confident. I did it because I was operating outside of my abilities. And I did it because I was just being plain stupid. Excuse the pun. So it was really important for me to learn from my own mistakes. And it's great to share with everybody else because I've learned so much from other pilot videos. Sadly, I haven't watched enough short field videos to have watched the Kittyhawk one where exactly this landing is flown, and on the video it discusses the risk of wind shear on this runway. Anyway, you live and you learn. Thankfully, I've lived and I have learned. So moving forwards, I'm not going to be complacent. I'm going to treat every new field as a challenge. I'm going to do all the research on all the information I can. I'll go and find the videos and watch them. I'm going to land on new farm strips that have got the right wind conditions, not turbulent, not too strong, just blowing nicely down the runway and bringing me in for an easy landing. I'm never listening to my P2 again unless they're an instructor. If they calmly say, don't forget your flaps, or 1,000-foot checks, or anything like that, happy days. But someone telling me what to do because I'm asking their opinion is bad. So all in all, this has made me a much better and much safer pilot. And I hope sharing this experience with everyone out there will help improve your flying too. I'd love to hear your views and thoughts, criticisms. Please share. I am only ever going to improve by learning from those who have been there before. Thank you very much, and I look forward to sharing my next, hopefully less dramatic video.